Cass, how was this deadly team in transition against you lot?
It was different.
But I think it was a bit different because this time it was, you could say they're missing party, but at the same time they had the Emirates as well.
I agree with that. I think that's a massive.
So because they're the Emirates, and I feel like Arteta will learn. I think you said it yourself, Daps, lots of times.
He won't do it again.
He won't play the same way naive when it comes to away game.
No, but I'm talking about but for me, it was more the substitutions. I'm just thinking, like you're saying about how deadly Arsenal are in transition. Like there's a lot of words being used that I'm just kind of questioning. Deadly in transition, Arsenal. I'm sorry, I'm not having Arsenal as deadly in transition yet. Igal's saying that there's certain players, there's a player for every team that everyone should fear, and then saying Partey. For me, I'm thinking, what the fuck? Who's fearing Partey?
Thank you.
Okay. Come on, man. I get what you're saying, but you can't say. You need to use the right words. You can't say fear and then say Partey, bro. Like, I fear going to my godkid's party more than I fear Thomas. Like, to be honest with you,
the guy's always injured.
Man used his first name.
Look, it's mad that you said that. Yeah,
okay. First of all, no, go ahead. Do you think?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I fear Martinelli running at players because he's scary. He can go either way and he's deadly.
Yep.
Saka is hit and miss. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not. I always highlight that. People think I'm hating. I'm just being real. I'm not sure what Saka. If Saka turns up and he's good, he's going to be scary. If I see the Saka that I've been seeing for the last year and a half, it is what it is. I don't really care, to be fair. Jesus is deadly, and the guy is good. He links the play really well. He's obviously a good finisher.
Bro, you need a red and white kit, man.
No, I'm just an honest fan. Do you know what I mean? So those are the players I fear. Fearing Thomas Partey, a guy that's a mad one to me. I don't think any fan in the league fears Partey. And for you to say that he blankets and stops counters, that's nonsense. You lot will, if Harry Kane gets on the ball and is allowed to turn and play players in, that's going to be scary for you lot. Perisic running at whoever is going to be scary. If Kulu is playing and he's allowed to just play his free game, that's scary. And obviously Son being in good form now, he scored 5 goals in his last two games.
You know what's
that's scary?
Martinelli versus Emerson Royal, that's scary for you. One-on-one matchups that can happen across the pitch that would benefit either side. That's scary. Yeah. Like I get it. Kulusevski's not playing. I genuinely believe
you don't know. I think that's mind games. I think he'll be all right. I honestly think Kulu will be fine.
Okay. So maybe Kulusevski plays. I'll tell you this right now. Kieran Tierney's probably going to start this game. I don't see Zinchenko starting this game. Just coming off 2 weeks. You keep doing this. Liverpool's this right now. So why you keep chatting?
Anyways,
oh wow!
You made it out like Kieran Tierney was going to be the difference.
Nah, you're making what?
You made it out like Kieran Tierney was this big difference maker because he's starting left back.
Nah, Kieran Tierney is a big difference from Zinchenko. Zinchenko is somebody who helps us control games in midfield, where Kieran Tierney is a lot better defensively, and he might not be as good on the ball. But let's be real. I'm making a valid point. You're making silly faces, throwing me off.
Right,
Anyways,
he's right.
Let me continue. Now, this whole thing about all these guys scary. I was just making a point about Thomas Partey's importance to this Arsenal team. I might have not used the right words, allow me, but hey, my main point was him being missing from that game versus Manchester United, and him being missing from that Tottenham game last year. He's a big difference maker, and his availability has been an issue. But when available, he's one of the best players in his position in this league. And he cannot be something that can be frowned upon. He's actually the difference between Arsenal going to the next level. And that's why we need more depth in that position. Everyone screams out, we need more depth in that position, because we know the drop-off from him to Elneny and Lokonga is very, very different. He's just that big of a difference maker for us.
I just want to say about this game. Like, obviously, I did my preview yesterday. I don't know how many people have. I haven't seen it. Like, I kind of agree with a lot of what Igal's saying. And I don't say that very often on the terrace, but I do agree with a lot of what Igal's saying. I think Arsenal, they are scary. Everyone knows I think Arsenal was scary this year. You know, they're scoring goals. They're keeping clean sheets. They're not like Spurs concede far more opportunities on their goal, far more shots on goal, even with Antonio Conte, who is, we know, this master at keeping other teams out. Lloris has had a brilliant season. Some of the saves that he has made have been excellent. And a little bit like City, and to a degree, a little bit like Arsenal, Spurs haven't really played anybody yet. They played Chelsea, and how they walked away with a point from that game, I said it at the time, they should have had a Mardi Gras. They should have been holding house parties, because that was daylight robbery, right?
Chelsea away, West Ham away. Those are not tough fixtures, no?
But we've played West Ham away, to be fair.
Okay,
You
well,
win those games?
hang on, guys. Hang on. Let me respond to that. Like the Chelsea battered you. How you got away with a point, no one will ever know.
Listen, we walked
West
out
Ham-
there with something. Like,
No, you did. You should know. No, I'm not discrediting the result. I'm talking performance. West Ham have been dog poo this year. Then this year, West Ham have not been a hard team to play. The point is that in a lot of your games, good quality finishes up front would have punished you. So that's why I predicted a 3-1 victory for Arsenal, because I just think,
I can't wait.
I think a 3-1 victory, because they have got Jesus, they have got Saka, they've got Martinelli. If you afford them the same space that you afforded Leicester, that you afforded Nottingham Forest, that you afforded Chelsea as examples, that you afforded Sporting Lisbon, if you give them all that Arsenal that kind of space and time that you've done in the majority of the games you've played this year, Arsenal will punish Tottenham, especially at the Emirates, a stadium where you got battered by a lesser Arsenal team last year and a ground that you haven't won in
with a very rubbish manager last year. Let's not.
Okay, cool.
We played with Nuno, and also the whole thing.
12 years, bruv. 12 years.
The whole thing about
Tom was in his dad's ball sack back then, bro.
The record is poor, but obviously records are there to be broken. Records are there to be, dusted, whatever it is. Even the whole
First, your team needs to show up.
Who?
Tottenham, because they don't show up in these derbies.
We'll show up, man. Don't worry about that. And even and to be fair, even if we don't, does it really matter? Like in terms of the whole magnitude of the league and this and that, Tottenham win at home, you lot win away. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's one game, innit? So sometimes people overdo these derbies. It's not a free hit, because there is pride and everything like that on the line. Don't get me wrong. But if we lose on Saturday, it's not the end of the world. And obviously we'll be disheartened, we'll be upset. But it's not the end of the world. You just bounce back and you go again the next game. Do you know what I mean? It's one game. But what I'm trying to say is that even people saying that we concede a lot of chances.
It's that bounce you give Arsenal. This is the thing with Arsenal. People have to understand. This is the biggest thing, I think, with Arsenal at the moment. Because this are they title challenges thing? No, it's September. No one's challenging for no title right now. But what they are doing is they're getting points on the board, right? And if you're a team that think at the end of the season, like luckily for me, I don't believe we're going to be fighting for top 4 with Arsenal, because that's what Arsenal are going to be doing at the end of the season. But if you're a team that might be fighting for any other place apart from first, then you need to watch how Arsenal keep getting points. And this is a thing that I think their result against Brentford was massive. Because it was
all this chat, they're only 1 point ahead of us. You know that. With all this chat about Arsenal so fantastic, Arsenal, they're 1 point ahead of us.
That was a big result.
Their
form could have changed against Brentford, but they made sure their form went back to how it was.
I keep hearing that. I just
think we need to.
I don't know, man.
I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant. You never, as Patrick, every time you go into, but as a Spurs fan or a Gal as an Arsenal fan, I guarantee every time you go into these games, none of you have ever said you're always going to back your team regardless, right? No matter what.
No, not really.
Never concede defeat regardless of where
when we went there with Nuno, I knew we was going to get battered.
I agree with that. So I think this is what you'll see this weekend when Arsenal win. Is you're going to see more and more people convert into this notion that, I've been talking for a while now, that Arsenal are really good this year. They're not going to be good enough to win the league, in my opinion, but they are really good. And that 1 point gap turns to 4 point gaps. And Spurs' performances they're not sustainable yet for me in terms of being where Spurs fans believe they are. I still think you're going to make the top 4 this year as well. But I think some Spurs fans legitimately think they're going to be in a title race. I've got an interesting comment here that said, I've lost it now, but it said, I didn't star it, which is silly of me. It says, how does Terry, a Man United fan, here it is. How does Terry, a Man United fan, know when Spurs last won away at Arsenal? Bro, this guy is an Arsenal fan in disguise.
It's now another club.
How I know is because I've got very good football knowledge, and I would never do a preview on a football on 2 teams playing each other without doing my research. To not do your research, if you're talking about who's going to win this game and you don't know how many chances, how many shots both teams can see per game, who gets broken down, who gets counted the most on the transition, the records at each other's grounds, the injury problems that clubs have got. If you go into a preview not knowing these things, you don't warrant an opinion. You're not allowed an opinion.
Cass, we better allow our channel now.
For me, I'm being honest with you. You don't warrant an opinion on a game if you know nothing about the build up to it. It's crazy to me. So that's how I know, because I basically spent half an hour researching it, finalizing my opinion on what I think and feel. So that's
Terry, Terry, I want to ask you a question. You know the quality of chances that you say that we concede. What do you think about them? Because I know from watching the games that we don't actually concede a high quality of chance, if that makes sense. A lot of the time people are shooting from outside the box. We're actually frustrating people, closing them down. So we are actually much better defensively than people give us credit for. So I just wanted to see your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so again, I go back to the Leicester game, and look, in the end you blew them away. Like, the scoreline in the end was emphatic, but the game for large parts wasn't. They had lots of great opportunities to score in that game, as an example. And I made a list of this earlier, so I want to go back and refer to it, cool. Because to pretend the knowledge is on the top of my head would be a lie. But that game stands out. The Sporting Lisbon game stands out. So your last two,
that Sporting one was awful. It was.
Yeah, Marseille, you were dominant in as an example. Fulham, I felt you were dominant, but they came back into the game later on. But they had, I would say, 3 or 4 what I would call clear-cut opportunities. Lloris making good saves. West Ham was a bit of an average game. I wouldn't say that there was too much in that as an example. Yeah. Forest was those games that as the game went on, you got more and more dangerous. But in that opening 15, 20 minutes, I felt like they had 4 or 5 opportunities, and that they weren't getting shots, but they were in the right position. It was their final ball that let them